As explained in the previous section, why do people reject Christ? Most people are so comfortable in their current state of consciousness, which Jesus called death, or spiritual death. They simply do not want to know that there is a higher potential. They don't want to know that there is anything beyond the normal state of consciousness. They don't want to know that there is a higher consciousness. They do not want to lose the security of having their lives under control and being on the guaranteed path to salvation as is presented. This rejection of Christ is caused by a psychological mechanism, mainly what modern psychology would call the human ego. People who are identified by their egos are unwilling to change, and thus they do not want to be disturbed by the living Christ. They do not want to follow the true inner path that requires them to look at the beam in their own eyes. Most people will reject Christ, but they are generally not aggressive enough to kill Christ. So, who are the real Christ killers? They are the members of the various power elite groups that can be seen throughout all of human history. People who are completely identified by their egos, and thus trapped in the battle and quest of the ego, namely, to set itself up as the ultimate authority on earth. Members of this elite have thus so far had an easy time of controlling the people, because the human ego gives people a primal fear of being lost, of not being saved. And by taking advantage of this psychological mechanism, the power elite can use people's fear to get them to follow the external path to salvation. Thereby, the power elite have managed to set themselves up as the ultimate saviors of the people, thus usurping the position that should be held by the living Christ in various forms. In essence, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, Ra, Dionysus, etc., the collective consciousness. When the living Christ appears in any form, such as Jesus, he or she threatens to overturn control of the power elite by exposing their false external path to salvation. If enough people follow the living Christ, the power elite will lose dominion over the earth. And because they are completely identified by their egos, they see the living Christ as the ultimate threat. Thus, they find it completely justified that the living Christ be killed for whatever good cause they manage to define. Yet, beyond killing the living Christ, they have a much more important agenda to fulfill, namely, killing the example of the living Christ. The power elite had a lot of trouble with Jesus. Yet, imagine if thousands of people would have followed the example of the living Christ and put on the mind of Christ the new man, and put off their old state of consciousness, thereby exponentially multiplying the number of living Christs on earth. This is the ultimate threat to the power elite. Thus, the power elite had to take control of the Christian religion and destroy all traces of Jesus' true teachings, namely, that he came as an example for all to follow. The power elite working inside of the Christian religion have managed to set Jesus up as being so special that no one could ever possibly follow in his own very call to do the same works that he did, even greater works. Thus, they have portrayed all people as sinners and Jesus as the one and only Son of God, as being divine perfection, as being God from the very beginning. And thus they have portrayed the appearance of Jesus on this earth as being a one-time special event that can never be emulated or done again. It is high time to expose this ultimate deception and distort and restore Jesus' true teachings about his true mission, namely to raise up 10,000 Christed beings. Thereby, the power elite can be permanently removed from this planet, and thereby the people can be set free to co-create the kingdom of God, instead of the current kingdom of man that gives all power and privileges to a small elite group. These 10,000 people are already in embodiment, but they need to awaken to their true identity and mission. Facilitating this awakening is one of the main purposes of these messages. The power elite can easily kill one Christed being, but killing 10,000, 10 million Christed beings is infinitely